Hello, welcome to another episode of the Bionicle Inspiration series, a series where I cover the community's building techniques and some cool mocks to hopefully help you get out of a mocking block or get out of an artist block or just give you a few ideas for future mocks that you want to build or, kickstart some of your creative juices for the things you might be working on at the moment. That sort of thing. So, today we are going to be focusing on revamps. So, taking old sets or old mocks or whatever and bringing new life to them, adding new pieces, making them more custom, making them look cooler, all that jazz. So, let us begin. The first mock we have today is Catapult Scorpion by Crow, or Ben, or Kronos Omega, or whatever name you want to call him. Now, this mock is sick. Some of the really cool things here is, what this is actually inspired by is one of the old Rahi from one of the old Bionicle books. The Rahi is called Catapult Scorpion. I was going to say Catapult Beast, but it's not. It's Catapult Scorpion. Here's a photo of what the original looked like. So Crow sort of, he liked the original version, but he kind of wanted to make it a bit more his own and improve upon it, that sort of thing. And this was his result. And I think he's done a phenomenal job, and I personally prefer Crow's version to the original. And I definitely recommend looking through those Dark Hunter and Rahi books if you have them still from your childhood, or if you haven't, you can also just Google them on Biosector and look up that sort of thing, because there's a lot of canon characters or canon Rahi, like the Shadowed One or Ancient or various other Rahi beasts and things of legend and all that stuff, which are really, really cool. And some are very well built, and some, not to be rude to the original builders, but some could do with some improvements in terms of, if it was more modern day, you'd probably add a few more pieces to it or, make it a bit more fleshed out or whatever. So there's a lot of good inspiration in those books. And I myself have revamped a bunch of the Dark Hunters from some of the older books. And that was a really fun thing to do because you already have a photo of what a lot of it looks like. So you essentially can kind of, not really copy it, but if you're improving upon it, you get to put your own little flair to it. And so you can kind of do what you want. And it's up to you if you want to stay relatively close to the original. Because Crow's does to an extent, like the same sort of head and shape and tail and all that. But he's changed it to fit the way he wants. Like, for example, he's added a really cool play feature there with the sort of cannon piece, which does actually fire, which is so cool. And would be a lot of fun to play around with, I'm sure. Also really cool is Crow's use a lot of like Hero Factory shells and things like that on here. It'd be really fun when revamping this to use a lot of newer pieces to something that, back in the day when it was built had a very limited part selection. Now the part selection has vastly increased. So it'd be cool to kind of, experiment with that, I suppose. And you get to put your own little touches on it and all that jazz. So Crow's done a really, really cool job here. The next mock we have today is Toa Onawa revamp by Toa Onawa. I absolutely love this revamp. And that's because it looks so similar to the original, but yet so different. It's got a lot of the same sort of things that Onawa had in terms of the hunch. I find a lot of people don't quite get the hunch right that Toa Onawa has in the original set, whereas this mock pretty much nails it. It's awesome. He's also got the same sort of color scheme going with the limbs being, grey. And the rest being black, and so it's cool that he's sort of managed to keep similar elements to what the original had on this version, and it looks awesome. And also how he's sort of redone like the claw pieces, so instead of having it just be the one piece, he's made it a whole bunch of different pieces, and made it sort of fit the bulkier look that he's now given this Onawa, which is very fitting and very cool. So he's brought new life to this, which is great, and even like the gears at the back there, they look cool, and there's a lot about this which is sort of taking directly from the original, but making it bigger, better, and more custom and stuff like that, which would be a lot of fun to do. And kind of the work would be done for you, because you already know what the original looks like. You can keep making references to the original, as well as even look up photos of like concept art for the original mock, or like fan art and stuff like that, because often in fan art and stuff, people like to kind of add their own creative license to it, or maybe make it look a bit more, different or something. And I've often found like for example, like this, it could give you a really cool idea for, ways to change up the mock or add to it, that sort of thing. He's also put a little bit of his own creative license here, like adding some green on the legs there, and adding the sort of cables at the back there, which are really cool additions that don't seem out of place at all and really fit the character, which is cool. Also cool to see a little bit of system on the legs there with the slopes and stuff. It's some really, really cool stuff going on here. So great job, Toa Onawa. The final mock for today is one of my old buddies from Mock Pages, Lego Freak 2444 with his self-mock Lordaden. Now, this is really cool because here's some earlier versions of the mock when it was just an Onawa build, or as it sort of grew over time and became a little bit more custom, that sort of thing. And then we get to the final version, which is this one with the golden how in the center there. It's really cool to see how this has changed over the years. And I obviously covered a lot of this sort of concept of the self-mock evolving in the self-mock episode, which if you haven't looked at, get your butt over there and look at it. But yeah, it's cool to sort of revamp older mocks. It's something that a lot of people do, and it's also really cool to do if you have people who've been following you for a while. Like, for example, some of Shadow Gear's... I mean, I'm a big fan of Shadow Gear. You probably can tell with the amount that I put him in these episodes. But there's a lot of his mocks that he's redone over time. Like, for example, the most recent version of Toa Shadow is really, really cool. It's cool to sort of see how that evolves and grows and everything. So it's also not only cool for you, but it's also cool for your friends and fans and all those other people who've seen your mocks and stuff like that. Yeah, and it's also cool to see how it evolves as your sort of build styles and the ways you build and everything evolve, which is really, really cool. And also really cool if you're sort of stuck for ideas of things to build, because you can look at older stuff that may still be on your shelf, or look through old photos and be like, oh, that character, I really, really liked him. I want to rebuild him, make him cooler, and, you know, not just an Onawa build, or, you know, maybe you weren't happy with how it looked, and now that you're a better builder, you can, you know, make it grow, all that sort of stuff. And then you also have a lot of motivation behind building it. It's not like you're going to get bored midway through, because you're invested in the character and you really like who it is, or, you know, you've got a lot of nostalgia behind it, or memories and stuff like that. So it'll be really cool and helpful for you when building it, because you're not going to get bored, and you're going to really want to do it justice, you know what I mean? Another cool thing about this mock is he's sort of introduced a lot of older weapon designs and stuff, sort of bringing those back, so more nostalgia factor, and nostalgia is the most powerful force in the world, so... Also, another little cool thing, just to sort of focus on one part of the mock, it's cool how the legs have evolved. Like, they've always sort of kept those Hero Factory leg pieces, but throughout the versions, they've got more and more custom, and then in the final one, you know, you've got the Hero Factory shell on the front there, and it's a lot more compact and whole, and it's got a few, like, you know, little bits of system on there and stuff. So it's cool to see how sort of reoccurring concepts throughout the mock have improved or become better over the years. And so that's, yeah, there's a lot of, that's just really cool for me. I really, really like that. It's cool to see how all the detailing and customization has improved and stuff. And I'm sure it's fun for Jordan, who built this, to really, you know, play with that and allow it to evolve and stuff. There would have been, yeah, a lot of fun making it, I'm sure. And that about does it for this episode on Revamps. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully I've given you a few ideas for something to build in the future. So yeah, be sure to check the description for the links to the mocks you saw in today's episode. Check them out. Check out the other builders who've made them, all that sort of stuff. And also if you've got any suggestions for future themes that you want to see. So, I don't know, maybe you want me to do an episode on custom head designs. Sure, why not? Then make a suggestion and I will more than likely do it. So far I've taken pretty much every suggestion I've seen. Maybe you haven't seen them yet because I haven't posted them, but or maybe I have posted them. Who knows when I'll post this episode? But pretty much every time I see a suggestion, I'm like, "Ooh, that's good, girl," and then I go with it. So be sure to suggest one. Also, be sure to submit some of your own mocks or some other people's mocks if you've got any cool things you see online and you go, oh, this would be perfect for the Bionicle Inspiration series. Send it my way. There's some links in the description there where you can send them to, which is links to all my social media, my Facebook, Instagram, mock pages, Flickr, all that. You know, like Flickr, Instagram, and Facebook have personal messaging systems. If you want to send it through that way, that's perfect. If not, just leave a comment, send it there. That's perfect for me. And anyway, that about does it for today. Happy building. Hopefully you've been inspired a little, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.